right, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to EBN TV News at 1. Today is the 15th day of June 2023, and as you can see, we are in our new home where we will be bringing you our new programs, amazing programs right here on EBN TV. But this is not the only new thing happening today, as well as you know it, is the day that the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury will be reading the Finance Bill 2023 this day. Well, my name is Victor Enzobeli, and now let's begin our bulletin, where today all eyes are on the hallowed halls of Parliament, where the Finance Bill 2023 is set to be read. This crucial piece of legislation will shape the financial landscape of our nation for the coming year, affecting the lives of every Kenyan. Here is what a section of Kenyans had to say regarding how this bill will affect their livelihoods.
Mimi naunga mkono kabisa, sababu itapata watu, sisi watu wa jua kali tutapata kazi. Kama nyumba zikianza kujengwa, kazi job opportunities zitapatikana. Hiyo ndio naiunga mkono kabisa, sababu wale watakatwa ni wale wako kazini. Sisi watu wa jua kali tunataka hiyo kazi. Itakuwa sasa kama bei itapanda, mambo ya ajira pia pesa iongezewe. Na pesa ikiongezeka itakuwa tu bei, kama mtu akilipwa labda analipoga 1,000 kwa siku, aongezewe 1,000 ngapi? 2,000. Hiyo unga utasikia kama ni pesa mingi, si utanunua, utakuwa una afford.
Mambo ya finance bill hiyo kwanza mimi siungi mkono, kwa sababu inakuja kuweka mzigo inakuwa kubwa kwa mwananchi wa kawaida. Kwa sababu ukiangalia ile mambo rais wetu amekuwa akituelezea na yenye amekuwa akiongea tangu campaign ni mambo mazuri, lakini kutekeleza hakuna jambo moja ambaye anatekeleza. Nikianzia wakati alikuwa anasema serikali yake itakuwa ya mama mboga, ya boda boda. Immediately alipoingia, watu wa bonda kwanza walikuwa na shida kubwa sana town. Hatungeingia town. Na yeye alikuwa amesema serikali yake itakuwa ya mama mboga na mtu wa boda boda. Kwa hivyo hakuna kitu yenye anatuambia na anatekeleza. Jambo lile lingine, kama ni upande wa ajira, kazi anapatia wale bado wako kazini ama wale ambao ni wazee. Ananyima nafasi wenye wamemaliza universities, ananyima nafasi wenye wamemaliza colleges. Kama unapata ni chairman wa mahali fulani, ni mtu amekuwa tu maybe minister, amekuwa chairman mahali pengine, kumaanisha vijana hakuna wakati watapata ajira. Tutapata tu hizi ajira za mikono za kulipwa 200, 500.
They are literally putting tax kwa kila kitu, which is so wrong. Like unaona kama zile vitu si essential sana kwa mwananchi wa kawaida, wanaweza tax na tena si overtaxing, unaona. Lakini wakianza kutax kila kitu tutasurvive aje?
Kwa hivyo ungependelea serikali ifanye nini?
Ningependa wasi overtax, na wakiweka tax kwa zile vitu zile products wanaweka, at least wanaangalia like hizi basic commodities, tuseme kama unga, zile vitu watu wanahitaji kusurvive kila siku. Ama kama inawezekana wa subsidize zile products zenye tuseme kama mafuta sina affect. That's duality. Okay, Kenyans are facing tough times ahead as the Finance Bill 2023 was passed at the National Assembly ahead of the ascension by President William Ruto. Pressure continues to mount on the Kenya Kwanza administration to deliver election promises, but at the same time, caution Kenyans from the hard economic times. Tax proposals in the bill have met rejection from majority of Kenyans, even as President William Ruto maintains Kenyans must endure the pain before things get better. And now here's Cynthia Nanjala with the key details.
In the Finance Bill 2023, the biggest beneficiaries include the national government, after a heated debate in the National Assembly over some of the proposals tabled in Parliament that seeks to raise revenue for the country and reduce on borrowing. President William Ruto's first budget stands at 3.6 trillion shillings, a 300 billion shillings increase from his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta's last budget of 3.3 trillion Kenyan shillings. The recurrent expenditure stands at 1.4 trillion. This includes money meant to run ministries, state departments, and includes salaries and allowances paid to employees and operational costs. The development expenditure stands at 714 billion shillings. This is a summation of money meant to construct roads, hospitals, and schools, or any other development projects across the country. As Kenya serves to see off its 9.6 trillion shillings debt, the budget deficit stands at 720 billion. The debt ceiling in the country currently stands at 10 trillion shillings, which leaves the government with only 400 billion shillings borrowing windows against the budget deficit. The total debt repayment is expected to hit 1.84 trillion shillings as interest payments total 775.14 billion. The cash will be shared out across the national government, where it will get 2.16 trillion shillings. The county government will get 385.4 billion. Parliament will access 40.4 billion shillings, while the judiciary will get the lowest in comparisons at 22.9 billion shillings. On allocations to parastatals, the Office of the President will be allocated 11 billion shillings, Office of the Deputy President 3.7 billion, Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary 648 million, State Department for Roads 245 billion shillings, while the Ministry of Defence will get 143 billion Kenyan shillings. Sector allocations with the least allocation for the financial year 2023-2024 include the State Department for Environment and Climate Change at 6.2 billion, the IEBC at 4.3 billion shillings, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution at 3.7 billion, the Public Service Commission at 2.7 billion shillings, and the Salaries Remunerations Commission 562 million shillings, while the Teachers Service Commission will pocket 322 million Kenyan shillings. All eyes are now on the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, as he walks a tightrope as Kenyans bank on his policy measures to alleviate their suffering. Cynthia Nanjala, EBN TV.
Right, with our eyes still locked on what is taking place in regards with the finance bill, fierce debate rocked the floor of the National Assembly on Wednesday after the finance bill 2023 was tabled. With the contentious housing levy exuding prominence in the floor of the House, members of Parliament from Kenya Kwanza were in support of the bill by President William Ruto's administration as the Azimio counterparts challenged government's agenda. At the end of the day's session, 176 legislators voted in favor of the bill, while 81 members of Parliament voted no.
No member is allowed to move around the chamber.
The National Assembly was rife with debate on Wednesday afternoon as members of Parliament took to the floor of the House to either support or reject the Finance Bill 2023.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Kenya Kwanza legislators led by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah supported the bill, criticizing the opposition for rejecting the bill which was in Azimio's manifesto in the run-up to 2022 elections.
Honorable Speaker, I support this bill. But Honorable Speaker, the vilification has been informed by misinformation, a lot of propaganda, a lot of insinuations and disinformation of things that are not even in the bill.
Taken to the floor, Finance Committee and Molo Member of Parliament Kuria Kimani defended the bill, saying that the 1.5% proposed housing levy is in order. Kimani said the levy had been reduced from 3 to 1.5% to prevent discrimination against low-income earners.
Hopefully, our good idea can give birth to a great idea, and that great idea can give birth to the greatest ideas.
In a sharp criticism of the bill, Migori Women Representative Fatuma Mohamed faulted Kenya Kwanza for not considering public opinions on the 1.5% housing levy. She said the finance bill did not undergo proper public participation.
Every speaker who is supporting the motion is saying that we have a lot of public debt. What you are not telling us is what informed this public debt.
The Finance Bill 2023, which was amended by the National Assembly Finance and Planning Committee and officially tabled on Tuesday 6 to raise 311 billion Kenyan shillings, which is 100 billion Kenyan shillings higher than the initial bill. The Finance and National Planning Committee amended to reduce the housing levy tax from 3% to 1.5%, a contribution that will be made only by the employer and not both the employer and employee.
Fair of the society and the just government of the people of Kenya, I rise to oppose. It is our business as a the representative of this house to make sure that our people live happily, improve their welfare, and make them feel they are sovereign according to the Constitution of Kenya.
Every speaker who is supporting the motion is saying that we have a lot of public debt. What you are not telling us is what informed this public debt.
The amended bill also proposes to reduce digital levy on content creators to 5% from 15%, double VAT on petroleum products from 8% to 16%, and increase rental income tax from proposed 7.5% back to 10%. President William Ruto will assent to the bill if it passes through the heated debate between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza in Parliament.
Total number of votes cast, 257. The ayes, 176. The nays, 81. Abstentions, nil. The of the vote is that the ayes have it.
Victor Enzobeli for EBN TV.
Well, now we turn our attention to Azimio, where Azimio la Umoja on Kenya leaders on Wednesday said they will draft a parallel budget to counter the 2022-2023 financial year budget for the Kenya Kwanza administration. The Azimio leaders, led by Raila Odinga, said the 3.6 trillion shillings budget does not mirror what Kenyans want from the government. The opposition leaders criticized President William Ruto's inaugural budget, saying that he blindsided Kenyans with a few amendments of the controversial Finance Bill 2023 and maintained that the bill should be withdrawn in its entirety. Although they will not give details of the planned parallel budget, the content and when it will be released, the team said it will go through the 47 counties for public participation.
Pete, we believe in a people's budget. We believe in the rights-based budget. The budget is coming. Kenyans will have the people's budget. We believe in a country that lives within its means, so that we are not held hostages by countries that lend us money. We ask Mama Mboga, watu wa mjengo, watu wa mkokoteni, watu wa bodaboda, the teachers, the nurses, the doctors, the hawkers, among others, to ask themselves, does this budget serve your welfare?
This budget, which is clearly anti-people, Azimio will be busy taking the next steps. We are reminding Kenyans this budget will hurt them where it matters most: food, medicine, fuel, cost of living, and many more, as has been outlined. We are reminding Kenyans they are not helpless. The Constitution gives you sovereignty. Let us wait. And if the voices of the people are not heard, people must exercise their sovereignty.
Right, let's turn our focus to other matters, where the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority on Wednesday, June 14th, released fuel prices taking effect from midnight. In the new review, a litre of super petrol was reduced by 0.66 cents and will retail at 182.04 Kenyan shillings. Diesel, on the other hand, will retail at 167 shillings after being reduced by one shilling. However, the price of kerosene was increased by 35 cents and will be retailing at 161 Kenyan shillings per litre. For the next month in Mombasa, a litre of super petrol will retail at 179 Kenyan shillings 0.20, while diesel will be sold at 164 shillings 0.45 cents. A litre of kerosene on the coastal county will go for 158 Kenyan shillings 0.65 cents. A liter of kerosene in the coastal county will go for 158 Kenyan shillings. EPRA also revealed that a liter of the super petrol will go for 181 Kenyan shillings, as diesel in the new city sells for 166 Kenyan shillings. The price of kerosene was pegged at 161 Kenyan shillings. The authority added that the new prices also factored in the 8% value added tax as stipulated in the Finance Act 2018 and the Tax Laws Amendment Act 2020. Now, on our next story, members of the county assemblies and the speakers have every reason to smile from next month after the state approved a pay rise for them. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission has yielded to pressure and increased the pay for MCAs and county assembly speakers. The move comes days after MCAs who assembled in Nairobi for the inaugural conference resolved to strike until their salaries and allowances are increased.
In the proposed gross remuneration to be implemented in 2 phases, a Speaker of the County Assembly will have their gross pay move from the current 525,000 Kenyan shillings to 562,312 from July 1st. However, the pay will move up to a gross of 601,674 in the 2024-2025 financial year, when the last phase will be implemented. Deputy Speaker's pay will move from the current 216,563 to 231,722 in the next financial year, before settling on 247,000 in the 2024-2025 period. This gross pay will, however, exclude the committee sitting allowance, which has been capped at 62,400 shillings for one committee per month. This means that if a deputy speaker sits in at least 2 committees, then they will pocket a total gross monthly pay of 356,522 shillings from July 1st. The amount will rise to 372,743 shillings in the 2024-2025 financial year. Majority and minority leaders will have their gross pay increase from 144,000 Kenyan shillings to 191,000 in the next financial year and 204,000 in the subsequent year. They will also enjoy a committee sitting allowance of 62,400 shillings for one committee per month. For the MCAs, the Salaries and Remunerations Commission (SRC) in its latest review has enhanced their gross pay from 144,000 to 154,000 Kenyan shillings starting from the salary of July. The pay will be hiked to 164,000 shillings from the 2024 to 2025 financial year. The committee sitting allowance has been retained at 62,400 shillings for one committee per month. This means that an MCA who sits in only one committee will be paid a gross salary of 216,000 shillings from the next month from the current 206,000. From July 2024, the pay will go up to 226,000 in case a member sits in only one committee. The details are contained in the SRC's presentation to the County Assembly Service Boards on the 3rd Public Service Remuneration and Benefits Review Cycle for the years 2021 to 2022 and 2024 to 2025. MCAs have been agitating for a pay rise, saying they are earning peanuts despite their heavy work as legislators at the devolved units. Cynthia Nanjala, EBN TV.
Right, and now let's turn our focus away from financial matters, where some of the followers of controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie, who were brought to court in Shanzu, Mombasa, lost consciousness, while some were so weak that the police had to carry them away after boycotting food. Following that, the court has ordered them to be transferred to the prison cell so that they can receive treatment while they continue to be detained for 7 more days Two lead lawyers involved in the case of controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie have withdrawn from the case, citing interference from the state. George Kariuki and Elisha Komoro have said that their efforts to access the preacher alongside his co-accused have been frustrated. The two defense lawyers have also cited threats to their lives, stating that they fear that at the end, justice will not be served. Earlier this week on Monday, at least 65 Mackenzie followers were charged for attempting to kill themselves after declining to take any meal while at Saja Hanadi Rescue Center in Mtwapa.
Strictly a court order for that, but it will be good for the court to be aware that even as they go to prison, that section may become applicable.
Na kama cooperate, then unaweza kuelekeza.
Quite unfortunate, I started very well from where it started, but where we are heading to, Your Honor, it will reach an issue of having threats and everything.
Direct that the respondents who are visibly weak and frail be escorted to hospital for examination and treatment.
But now the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, KNCHR, and the Intersex Persons Implementation Coordination Committee now says once the Intersex Persons Bill 2023 is enacted into law, it will help cure the identity crisis that befalls intersex persons in the country. The two entities held a public participation forum in Isiolo to seek views from the public regarding the bill that seeks to have intersex persons recognized in law as a third gender marker.
Changamoto ambazo intersex persons wanapitia, moja ni wanapozaliwa kunakuwa na mkanganyiko baina kati ya wazazi, madaktari, wajui huyu mtoto ni wa kike ama ni wa kiume. Anapoendelea kukua, wazazi pia wajua na mlea kama nani. Mzazi anataka alelewe kama msichana, mzazi mwingine anataka alelewe kama mvulana. Anapoenda shuleni anaangaliwa na wanafunzi wenzake. Pia wako na mzongo wa mawazo, manake wanashindwa mbona wao walizaliwa hivyo. Wanajiuliza maswali, wanauliza wazazi wao maswali. Society nataka.
Nimefurahi sana, ni kazi mzuri sana, lakini iendelee mpaka mashinani tafadhali, kwa sababu watoto wengi wanafichwa huko. Hapa ni town na mtu anaweza kujulikana, lakini huko kuna wengi wanafichwa, hata disabilities wengi wanafichwa.
Kwa hiyo komiti, kitu ya kwanza tunafanya ni kuona ya kwamba haki za wanaozaliwa wakiwa huntha zinaangaliwa. Sheria ambayo itasaidia wale ambao tunasema ni wanahuntha ama intersex persons waweze kuwa wanajumuika kimaisha kama wale watoto wengine, kuanzia ule umri mdogo hata wakati wanabalehe, na pia wakati wanakuwa ni wazazi ama wanatafuta ajira na kadhalika.
Tunanuia kulinda haki zao, tunanuia kuwatafutia nafasi ambazo katika jamii ambapo hawabaguliwi na mambo kadhalika. From here we will put together the comments that we are getting and forward this draft through the AG's office, ambapo tunatarajia itaenda parliament iweze kujadiliwa.
Now, volunteer counselors from Kakamega are reaching out to people who are silently battling mental health in the community, especially those who feel ashamed or fear seeking help. They are visiting public and private institutions, including schools, community barazas, and churches, and also participating in medical camps to offer pro bono debriefing sessions and create a safe space for therapy. A counseling psychologist, Jacinta Waringa, who is also the secretary for the Kenya Association of Professional Counselors Kakamega chapter, said the counselors will also refer to patients for appropriate medical attention. She added that they will connect those undergoing mental health challenges to counselors nearer them for monitoring and continuous briefing.
The statistic shows around 10 persons, in a group of 10 persons, 4 of them are suffering from a mental health concern or mental health illnesses. When you get to our hospitals, the private sector and also the public sector, 20 to 25% of inpatient and outpatient are also indicating the signs and symptoms of mental health concerns. In Kakamega County, we've realized that there is also a gap in the as much as we have women patients, we also have men. But reaching men, it's a bit challenge. There is that notion of not wanting to seek help. We are visiting institutions, private sectors and schools to give sometimes pro bonos on terms of debriefing sessions, counseling session, and connecting them to a counsellor, preferably to that particular sub-county. The good enough, we have counsellors in each, attached in the 12 sub-counties, whereby we can make these appropriate referrals. It starts from something like even insomnia. You start getting a lack of sleep, and sometimes you can even sleep too much. It brings up or comes with signs of maybe eating, we call it eating disorders or eating challenges. Sometimes your appetite goes low, or you again eat too much. Emotional imbalances. You find yourself that you just have an outburst of emotion. Anybody passing you or just getting closer to you, you become irritative easily.
Now, Kilifi County is staring at an environmental pollution hazard after waste holding grounds were vandalized in the area, forcing residents to throw waste materials in undesignated places. The Kilifi County Executive Committee member for Water, Environment and Blue Economy, Omar Said, revealed that most designated waste holding grounds were not functioning after vandals stole the waste bins. He said that his department was currently enlightening the community and sensitizing them on the importance of proper waste management for a clean environment before embarking on arresting violators of the Environment Act.
We recognize, like other players in the circular economy, that there is value in plastic waste, and we have worked in Mombasa with the informal waste collectors or waste managers and trained them on collecting, segregating plastics so that they are able to sell the same to crushers to enable recycling. There are other programs along the coast which are going on, which are very good for crushing the plastics, for converting plastics directly into products which are usable.
Kazi yetu ni kutengeneza zile sheria za kuhakikisha kwamba miji yetu yote ya Kilifi ni misafi. Na tuko na sheria yetu ya solid waste management ambayo tulitengeneza ya kuhakikisha kwamba takataka zote zinahifadhiwa pale zinapotakikana kwa dump sites. Na ni the executive part, hii bill ikuwe operationalized ili tuwe na mikakati mizuri ya kucollect hizi takataka na kuhakikisha pia pesa zimeingia kwa county kama revenue.
Changamoto ambayo tuko nayo ni kuwa mwananchi atakuja ile pale ambayo tumeweka kwanza zimekuwa vandalized, mwingine umeibiwa mabati, mwingine hata hiyo pila ambayo imewekwa chuma ndani imevunjwa hiyo pila kutolewa chuma ikauza scrap. Sasa naona hizo changamoto ambazo tuko nazo. Kitu ambacho tumefanya ni kuhamasisha wananchi. Hii kitu tumeweka kwa ajili yenu na ni pesa yenu ambayo tumeweka hapa ndani. Unapoharibu inamaanisha tumeharibu pesa ya umma. Haujaribu pesa yangu mimi kama waziri, hujaribu pesa yetu kama ya serikali peke yake. Ni pesa ya umma ambayo unaharibu. Kwa hivyo
well, the Parliamentary Education Committee is planning to enact a law to decentralize the education for those with special needs to enable children across the country living with disabilities to receive special training easily. The committee has also said that it aims to increase the allocation of funds allocated to the unit in order to achieve the purchase of special equipment used for teaching.
So there is need actually to develop a very strong devolved units of psycho educational centers in all our counties. Institutions also require a lot of resources on assistive devices. The assessment devices like brailles, like for visually impaired, the hearing impaired. So the government needs a lot of resources to assist learners. We as members of parliament have said we shall go to the National Assembly, develop an act of parliament that will strengthen special needs education in the Republic and make sure that the learners across the country actually are supported as per the Disability Act of the National Assembly.
Right, the National Gender and Equality Commission wants the East African Legislative Assembly Member of Parliament, David Ole Sankok, to apologize to women over derogatory remarks he made while marketing his hotel online. NGEC Chairperson Dr. Joyce Mutinda says the offensive statement is tantamount to promoting a rape culture at his premise.
So for the honorable member to say that when somebody goes to that nest that he has built, they remove the ladder so that whatever goes inside there, the man can have what he called value for money. We don't understand that as a commission, and we condemn this. That is not language from a leader. Ole Sangok, should come up, talk to Kenyan women and ladies, at the same time apologize to them, because it is unbecoming of him. And if that doesn't happen, we will sit as a commission and look at our law and do that which we are expected to do.
Right, and that is all from the news desk for now. Thank you very much for making time to join us, but don't go far just yet. In a few minutes, you will be joined with Fred Njeri, where he will also be joined with some guests to go over the Finance Bill 2023 before it is presented later in Parliament today. They'll be discussing what they expect to unfold with the Cabinet Treasury Njuguna Ndung'u set to read the Finance Bill 2023. That is all for now. Thank you very much for making time. My name is Victor Enzobeli, and I wish you a lovely afternoon.